It has been a rough few days since I last posted, but I'll continue where I left off last time. After sitting in my car in the driveway for a long time, I finally got out and walked around my house. The doors were locked, the windows were closed, and there was no sign that anyone had broken into my house. I unlocked the front door and went inside. The first thing I noticed was a musty smell, like an old, damp basement. I opened a couple of windows in the living room to let some fresh air in. Then I began checking each room. The bedspread and sheets in my bedroom were bunched up at the bottom of my bed. I know I didn't leave it that way. I went into the office next. The chair was lying on its side on the floor. The monitor was on and the fearforlife.com page was opened up. It had a different picture this time and looked like the thing that showed up on my camera while I was at my parents' house. There was also dirt on the desk around the floor, but I didn't vacuum it up last time, so I'm not sure if that was new. Next, I checked my attic again, but this time I just peeked up there. I didn't want to have anything surprising me on the ladder like the last time I went up there. Luckily, there wasn't anyone up there. The last place to check was the basement. The wood stairs creaked as I went down to the cold cement floor. There wasn't much down there, just some boxes, a ping pong table, and various other things I didn't use too often. My basement was a big open area with a separate room for the furnace and some storage shelves. I always keep the door to that separate room closed, so, of course, it had to be part way open. I pulled the cords to turn on the lights that I passed on my way to the room and stopped a few feet from the doorway. It didn't sound like anyone was in there, so I pushed the door all the way open, letting more light into the room. There was a light in the back of the room, behind the furnace. That was also the only spot where someone could have been hiding. As I started walking back there, the door slammed shut and I was plunged into darkness. I froze in place. The furnace shut off and the fan slowly stopped. I didn't hear anything else until I took a couple steps forward. It came from behind me and sounded like a pair of cleats clacking against a hard floor. I stopped, and the noises stopped. Then I took a couple more steps, which were again followed by the clacking sound on the floor behind me. I kept walking around the furnace, and I was too afraid to turn on the lights. I could hear it following behind me, so I made my way back to the door. I opened the door and stepped out, shutting it behind me. It slammed into the door as I took additional steps. I was about to run to the stairs when I saw the long-haired skeleton I had seen the other day on my ladder when I was coming down from the attic. It was on the other side of the stairs, watching me. It wasn't moving at all and looked like a Halloween decoration. However, when I stepped forward, it also stepped forward. I took another couple steps forward and it did the same. Then I stepped back and it stepped back. It was closer to the stairs than I was, and I could tell it would get to me before I made it up the first step if I ran there. I looked over at the ping pong table and stepped towards it. With each step I took, it took another step towards me. I got to one side of the table and walked around it until the thing was on the other side of me. I needed to switch sides with it so I could be by the stairs though. I stepped towards the other side and it stepped closer to me again. This wasn't going to work, so I tried stepping backwards. It went backwards too and was going the way I had hoped it would. I took a few more steps and now I was close to the stairs with a table separating us. I took a deep breath and then ran to the stairs. It ran after me but stopped when I stopped about halfway up. It was right at the bottom of the stairs. I turned to face it and took a step backwards on the stairs. It stepped backwards and away from the first step. I made it the rest of the way up like that and closed the door behind me. I ran outside and called the police. While I was waiting, I watched the door to make sure no one came out. When the car pulled up, I was disappointed to see that it was the same officer that had come over before. He walked around the outside first and then went in. "Nothing is in there," he said after coming back out rather quickly. "Are you sure you saw someone in there?" "Yes, there were 2 people in my basement," I said. The officer looked annoyed. "Well, I went down there and checked everywhere. Make sure it is an actual emergency if you call us again." I said thank you to him, and he went into his car and drove away. I had wanted to say thanks for nothing, but didn't think that would have gone over very well. I went back inside and looked into the basement. The lights were still on down there and the door was open to the furnace room. I didn't want to go down there again, but I felt that I had to, and the officer said he checked, so maybe it would be safe. After going down the stairs, I walked to the furnace room and looked behind me. Thankfully, nothing was there. The light was on behind the furnace, so I turned it off after confirming nothing was there. Then I turned off the remaining lights and went upstairs. Nothing else happened that day, but at night I woke up around midnight. I was lying on the right side of my bed facing the wall, and I felt the mattress sink down on the left side. The bedspread moved and I grabbed onto it so it wouldn't be pulled away from me. Then I felt a cold breath on my neck that reeked of mould and rotten meat. I bolted out of bed and ran outside, calling 911 on the way. Unfortunately, it was the same officer and the first thing he said was, "Great, it's you again." He went inside and came out pretty quickly after. "What a surprise! Nothing was in there and it doesn't look like anyone broke in," he said. Then he climbed into his car and rolled down the window. "You do know we can fine you if you waste our time again." I tried to tell him that something was really there and I wasn't lying, but he just drove off. I slept in my car the rest of the night with the doors locked. Before I went to bed the next night, I set up a camera facing my bed to see if something would happen again. At some point during the night, I got up to go to the bathroom. When I came back, the covers were pulled down on the other side of the bed. I thought about how nothing had hurt me so far. Also, someone had replied to an earlier post I made that, "This is your life now." So maybe I just needed to learn to live with it. I lay back down in bed and fell asleep. I watched the video the next morning and saw what had gotten into my bed. It could have hurt me if it wanted to, but it didn't, so I felt a little more safe. The next couple of days there were more noises in the house and visitors at night, but it didn't really bother me as much anymore. Of course, I still didn't understand how the website was able to do all of this, but it was only trying to scare me, and it wasn't that big of a deal. Plus, it would end tomorrow on Halloween. I meant to post this earlier, but I fell asleep while typing it up. I just went to the kitchen to get a cup of water and noticed all the sharp knives were missing from the knife block I keep on the counter. I'm back in my room now with the door closed and locked, and wondering what to do. There are noises coming from above me in the attic and out in the hall. My phone just buzzed a bunch of times from notifications from my cameras. There's someone at my front door again, and I just watched something crawl out of my computer monitor. Now someone is knocking on my bedroom door, and I heard the cover from the attic slide open. I moved my dresser in front of the closet door to block it. There's also someone staring in at me through my bedroom window. Now the knocking is also coming from my closet door, and they are all whispering like they were in the videos. I was able to record it and reverse the audio like someone in the comments had done for me before. They are saying 5 more minutes until Halloween.